I base the COVID-19 and the coronavirus off of wearing a mask because my name is Jason. And it's based off of like the band Slipknot and Mushroom Head and all these other bands that, or even Kiss, that wear makeup and masks because it gives you the ability to express yourself more without having to worry about your actual character assassination. But see, the character that needed the most, not assassinated, needed to be really brought to attention was Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a good friend of mine. And it really aggravates me that people, after his death, just because he was worth and he did things, he was a family man. You got to think he grew up, had a childhood not so much unlike my own. So what did he want to do? He wanted to better things for people and kids around him. That's a good man. But as soon as the man passed away, they wanted to paint the narrative that he was a child, and he wasn't. And that's the person who deserves the most respect on his name and his legacy for his family and for his kids. I mean, that's the king of pop. He was married to the king of rock and roll's daughter. I mean, he was married to Priscilla Presley. He has children. And if you stop to look, he was wearing a mask. He's the one that really, truly brought the surgical mask out. And I was doing it for V for Vendetta, for the Guy Faux mask, and for Anonymous, because that's who I've been. But see, Anonymous and QAnon started for the mock presidency, which is actually really where the Congress and the president is. Because after a point in time, you don't want to be assassinated. You don't see presidents ride around in open air cars anymore. And, the last time, you don't. At what point in time do you have to tell people you don't look up to the top of the totem pole, you look at the base? And our country is so far off. Especially people that think they really know what's going on. No governor, no president, no anybody can shut your business down and tell you not to work. They can't do that. I know they're doing it, but they can't. They can't fundamentally stop you as an American from going to work. See, I'm giving you a taste of what each candidate is like. I'm giving you a taste of socialism, of a dictatorship. You've had a pandemic. Man, everything's a pandemic. Everything. But when you realize that the majority of the news is no longer news, it's bias. You don't get newspapers anymore. See, used to, newspapers, a reporter had to fact check their story and their name was on the line. But all these are just casted characters and you really don't really know their names. The fact that I mic dropped as Obama and Obama had an anger interpreter. And the fact that they keep bringing Obama back up. Why are they bringing up past presidents and the current president's administration? Because I'm doing it intentionally because nobody's calling it out. You're sitting here allowing a guy staying in the basement of the White House that's been the presidential head of state since he was 13 years old. That's where the problem is. I'm trying to teach you something. I'm trying to close up a war. They wanted to make it a war on Islam, but actually, if you want to go back through it, it was a war on tribal people. Just like a bunch of ships came here and landed on land and came in and attacked a bunch of people here, it was no different than the Middle East. Tribal people are tribal people. And once again, it shows when technology attacks tribal people, they don't know. So what was it? Well, I'll tell you, $7.8 trillion came up missing the last time, 9/11, and they blamed it on Islam. But they also want to blame it on white hate crime and all that stuff. But the word Aryan is a word that comes from Tehran. It means Muslim. So it's the Muslim Brotherhood. So right off the bat, the federal penitentiaries have been making radical Islam more than Islam's ever done anything to us. And it was to cover up corruption here in Oklahoma. Basically, it was a breakdown of the judicial system and the law system when it comes to ATF, the DEA, and the FBI. Drugs, corruption, and money, and it was just easier to continually to run the narrative that it was a hate crime and all these other things. And it's just like you've had the repeat in Waco, Branch Davidian, and then they had the shooting of the bikers. And, and all this other stuff is you're going to have, everything comes in pairs, the positive side and negative side. Just like the Unabomber, just like Charlie's, you got Charlie's Angels, but then you had Charles Manson. But those were kind of like his angels, Hell's Angels. A lot of things are fundamentally going on, and people get involved in it, and they don't understand that it's already patterned for them to be involved in it, whether due to they're born in it, they're Native American, or who. I'm just a person that has all the answers. I've been deployed for many, 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 many years because I've been drafted into something. And a lot of people can argue that. Well, unless you've been in my shoes and had to run around the country and do all the things I've had to do, then you don't get to discuss and speak on that. The CIA, when we go into bomb places, we used to send flyers. We used to send people with flyers, and it would say, hey, we need you to move out of the area. Please get out of the area. But now we use a thing that's just like Dreamcast. We can target a certain area with a satellite and pump in frequency and give you guys dreams and nightmares. And that's where a lot of stuff I would use would be like Mushroom Head and all these things with masks. And when you're a primitive people somewhere and you don't have technology and you get that pumped into your dreams, it becomes a spiritual awareness. At a point right now, we have too many people in the United States that are different cultures, but yet we still have the narrative that you can't do anything while you're here. Well, I hate to tell you something. If you don't think that we haven't overthrown every country in the world, then you have another thing coming. America is always the last one to be prepared for anything. Why? Because you think you're the safest from anything. America is actually one of the most poorest countries we have, even though we have the fundamentals that you can get up and go to work and do these things. At what point in time do you have to look at the breakdown of your education system, your law enforcement, and all these other things, and the technology, and realize that technology has gotten so advanced to the point that it has made human existence almost obsolete when it comes to being factual people. See, the majority of people have to have technology to be able to have answers and be able to receive and understand messaging and human nature, and I don't. So at what point in time, while you're wearing masks looking like Michael Jackson, and when they're telling you that hospital workers are first responders, and you have all these things telling you, stay home, stay home. Well, it's because they have one pissed off guy out here roaming around the fucking streets because some shit tried to kill him, and I still have a job to do. See, the last time someone tried to hurt us, we were in Texas. We changed their story. When you're part of a company called Ground Zero Incorporated, the bullshit stops when the hammer drops. Sometimes I'm Randall Kramer, the other times I'm Kramer and Randall, and then sometimes I'm Kramer and Kramer, and then sometimes I'm Randall and Randall. But I've never been in the Army. It's kind of like when two barges took out a bridge, and a guy in an Army uniform stepped up and started calling shots, and then called an attack on Russia. That was the first deployment of my program. And then we had two barges that come down Memorial Day weekend. We're coming close to Memorial Day weekend before. But see, what people don't understand, my whole life since I was 8 years old has been recorded. It doesn't matter. Any single part of everything. I can tell you this. There has not been one, out of all the school shootings they ever had when it comes to weapons, they don't exist. Now, has there been some? Probably yes. But the majority of them, probably not. They're all just deep fake news. They're all just 7 different kinds of smoke until I've been able to get control of things that go on in my life. But see, the thing is, it's constantly, no matter what I say and do, I'm so far advanced up from it that it's going to pick and argue everything I say. If I say, Simon says go right, it's going to go left. Because it's a mirror image. It's a mirror. I call it a mirror. He's a Middle Eastern. I call it a mirror. So if I go right, he's going left. We're two-stepping. But see, too, that's the problem. When you think Benjamin Franklin was flying a kite and had a key on it, how do you get electrocuted by string? You don't. You really don't. This is the time that people should stop and say, hey, we're Americans. Nobody tells us we can't go to work. Maybe this kid covered in tattoos has something that he's really trying to tell us, and he's really pointing us out how to do this. I mean, you can't phase in something and phase out something. That's what you do to fucking airplanes. You know, they're phasing out my command post and my ship, my crew, and they're bringing a new one in. But it's kind of like this. I sent a bunch of people to Area 51 looking for me, and there was no one there. Well, they had moved me to 50. And it's like this. You don't know Elon Musk. You don't know any of these people. I do. You know, and the thing is I simply just wanted someone to come to my home to take a leap of faith and say, hey, grab my hand. Let me show you something. Grab my hand. Take a leap of faith, and I will change your life. I will show you something. No one ever does. They always have this structured mindset that they think, no, I'm worth more than anybody in the world. Even when I'm rich, I still act broke. You want to know why? Because it doesn't matter. When you want real people in your life to respect you for who you are in your journey, those are the hard ones to find.